So starting off another little video on my Mazda 3.5, 3.75 bumper. So my car's turboed, and obviously people do talk about heat and things like that. And when I did my last track day, didn't have any real heat related issues other than some manifold nut issues. But you know, that's to be expected. That's just something I need to work out. But yeah, there was a lot of heat build up here. I know that you can get little bonnet risers. I haven't tried them on MX5, but you can raise the bonnet, and maybe get some airflow that way. But as you can see in the picture, these are Focus RS bonnet vents. I'm thinking of putting one pretty much above the turbo in this section, and obviously a matching one over there just to make it symmetrical. At first, I bought some plastic ABS Chinese things that I was gonna put in, and they were gonna look pretty good. But then I thought, you know, it is plastic right above a turbo. Is that basically just gonna melt? So I was then thinking I'll put some heat reflective tape on the back here. And then one day when I was Googling Facebook Marketplace or searching on Facebook Marketplace, these carbon fiber vents turned up. They're exactly the same size as the other ones. These ones have got a couple of little defects. One of the biggest ones there, so I'm gonna have to sort that out. But basically it's going to be something like that. It will go with my carbon fiber rear boot spoiler. It will go with my carbon fiber look roll hoop covers. So it is in keeping. You can get the plastic ones in fake carbon fiber, but when I saw these come up at a reasonable price, that's what I went for. So basically what I've got to do now, and it obviously shouldn't be affected by heat as much, so what I've got to do is I've got to mask out this area. So I want to keep this hard lip all the way around, because I want to put a fairly big bit of double-sided tape all the way around to hold it, bigger than this thin stuff. So really what I'm after is I'm after cutting a piece in the bonnet that is this inner section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some masking tape down in the rough area that I want. Same on the other side. I'm going to measure how far my turbo is in from the back of the bulkhead here, from the front of the bulkhead here in, and I'm going to try and place it in quite a good area where I can take some of that hot air out. Obviously I haven't got a feed on the front, but you've obviously got air coming in at the front here, so you've got air pushing through. Obviously you've got radiator flow, it's going to come through, so there should be able to duct some air out of this. Well, that's the idea. I wanted to be fairly subtle. I've seen people with massive bonnet vents, and I've seen people with rivets, and I've seen, to me it's just horrible, unless that's your only, you know, if that's your track car, then I guess you can make it look as, you know, whatever as you want. But I wanted to do it quite nicely, so these should go, once that's opened up, they'll slide down and they go against the body, and hopefully they'll look pretty good. I was going to paint the other ones maybe body coloured and just keep it really subtle, but considering I've got black on the front lip, black wheels, you know, black, it's I think it's going to tone in. So the next job is to try and do some measuring here and sort out where I'm going to cut the scary holes. So I've just spent some time measuring and hoping that I've now got these vents in the right place. So what I've got, so I'll move one aside. So obviously I've got the outer shape. I've then measured in how far I think the cut needs to be. For mine, it's 12 mil at the back here, and then 1.5 centimeters all the way around here. So obviously the hatch section is the bit I'm looking to cut out. And then, so if you spin the other one over, you can see how that's the section that you're wanting to cut out. So the actual section's, you know, not too bad. Come out here because it starts to curve in a little bit, and you don't want it to push the vent up. So that's good. So I've done both. I did this one first, and then obviously I had to try and make that one identical. I've done loads of measuring. I've tried to get a center line, loads of measuring from the back, measuring from the side, and I think that's pretty good. Now it's the daunting experience of how to cut them out. I'm guessing, I'm thinking maybe hole saw, because it actually is in part, well, most of it is 2 layers of the bonnet. I'm thinking maybe a hole saw in each corner, and then maybe a jigsaw to go between. The only other option maybe is angle grinder. Would heat up and burn the paint and may create so much heat, I think, that it will bubble the paint further back. So I don't think an angle grinder is a good idea, unless maybe I take it really slowly, and maybe even cool the edge, maybe even put a bit of water, but then that's going to mess this up. I don't know. So I'm going to give cutting a go. I've got an angle grinder with a thin cutting disc, and what I've got is, because it's double layered, what I'm actually thinking is trying not to go through the double layer, cut the top layer off, and then maybe put holes underneath in the second layer. We'll see how that goes, because there is a bit that's very close with the double layer together. So let's cut this section out and see how it goes. As you can see, I'm cutting slowly through where I've got my mark. That's obviously the second skin isn't close to it. You can see it's gone through there as well, but then this is all solid. It's gone through there, so you need to be really just trying to just take this top layer off, and it's going to be really tricky, but that's the plan. So I've been able to cut right into just by the corners, and then I've got a little blade, and I'm just going to try and saw in to finish that off. Into all the corners, it's all about, there's a big bit of sticky blob in the middle that I just need to break, and then that's going to come off. So that's the sticky blob that's underneath. So that's your second skin. So that's what I've chosen. I don't want to take, my dad actually suggested it, not taking out this second skin, because this actually looks like it's aluminium. It's cutting so easily. So what we're thinking of doing is, obviously there's already a hole there, is actually hole sawing holes into it to get some air out, but still keeping some of its strength. That's still really hot from the drive over, so it just shows how much heat is generated by the turbo. Get this little blob off, and what I'm doing now is I'm just filing the edges, make it nice and neat, and yeah. I thought I was being really clever about the whole 2 skin thing, but the problem is you need to drop the vents in, so this section is too high and it's making the vent protrude. So gonna have to, it looks like this back one, don't need to play around with anything here, but I need to cut out some kind of square so I can recess that into it. So that's a bit of a shame, but yeah, let's do that. What I found was this section, this inner skin, was too shallow to fit the vents in here. I tried to maybe cut slots, it was looking terrible. So what I've done is, this was the factory hole, I've made another hole alongside it to help with air, and then I've just cut out a rectangle there. This slides in, and then should give some nice ventilation there. So yeah, that's really good. What I'm thinking of doing, we'll see if this happens, is I was thinking about rainwater and going into this double skin. Thinking maybe I might get some of that expanding foam and spray into here, and then you can just cut it with a Stanley knife, and that would stop anything going further. We shall see. I'll see if it's fire rated, because I don't want obviously that to be able to catch fire. So yeah, so that is one pretty much done. So just got to do the same on the other side now. Easy peasy. So that one's all cut out, 2 holes at the front. It's going to fit nicely. And then I'm part way through this one. So I've cut out the outside. I've added the extra hole to kind of match the front OEM one there. Marked out the equivalent cutout. And now I'm just about to angle grind this one out. So you've obviously got this gap around here. Water's going to come through the vents, things like that. And basically what I'm looking at, as I went to Toolstation, I looked at expanding foam. I also looked at the fire one. This one, there was 2. This is a B one. This is like fire for 4 hours, would be absolutely fine. It does say about exposure to high temperature directly, but it's good to 100 degrees. So I think this is better than just standard foam. So I'm going to try and spray this into here, get this gap closed up, and then hopefully trim it with a knife to get it all trimmed off. And we're going to see how this goes. So let's give this a go. Not done it before, so let's see. Oh, it's blue. Very jazzy. So that's both of them filled up with the expanding foam. Tried to get in, as well as possible. Going to let that set, and then hopefully should be able to come along and just cut it with a knife and take out the bits that we didn't want. So yeah, hopefully that's it's all fire resistant. Going to stop the moisture getting into between the two panels, and it's going to sort everything we want. So I've got the holes ready for the vents to be stuck on. So all the expanded foam, I just used a knife and cut it in nice and neatly there. So it's all good. So that should stop moisture and other things getting into the gaps. So done both of those. And now I'm going to use, so obviously you can use like 3M tape, and that's what comes with the plastic type ones, but the heat that comes out of this, I can see the heat rising from this. I just thought the tape's going to melt, the adhesive's going to melt. So I just went to Tool Station, bought some clear, so that sticks all, extreme power. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this, put it onto the vents, put them down, put something weighty on top, and wait for that to cure and go off. So that's the next thing to do. So I've just put a bead of sticky all around, not right on the edge. Hopefully when I press down it will spread out. Obviously if I get any seeping out the edge, I've actually got some isopropanol just to clean off on the bonnet. So hopefully this should go alright. So now I've just got a 5 litre jug of water and just place that on there to give it some push down. So just going to leave that until it sets, and crack on with the other side. So I left the vents overnight to cure with the weight on them. I'm not going to push them too hard, but they feel rock solid. They look really good as an ambulance goes past, but I think that's really neat. Obviously I've spaced them where I wanted because of where the turbo was. That was my main reason for doing it. So mine are quite close, obviously to the centre, because the turbo is right under that one, and I've done the other one to be symmetrical. Looks really good. Nice and neat, nothing crazy. Just really smart. Happy with that. Wasn't too hard a job.